Well, hello there. We are here at the Wyoming Dinosaur Center in Thermopolis, Wyoming. Dino Doug bringing you the good stuff. We went on a tour of a real dinosaur dig site a little bit earlier, and I'm going to show you guys some videos from that. But right now, let's go in and see one of the most spectacular dinosaur museums in the world. So let's go in the doors and see what's up. And this is exciting. This is, of course, the gift shop, but the good stuff is in here. Oh my goodness. You know what? Let's focus on these monster sauropods first. Wow. Oh my goodness. I'm overwhelmed already, guys. Let's start with this Supersaurus. Look at the size of this guy. Look at that. From the head there all the way to the tail is probably 120 feet. This is a giant sauropod found near here called Supersaurus. Let's follow the body of this thing all the way down. And just imagine standing next to this thing in real life. Wow. Jiminy Christmas. Look at these immense feet. Most of this is real fossil, not all of it, as is almost always the case. But this guy would have weighed about 70 tons. And as he walked across these strata, across the ground, the earth would have shook. And his tail went all the way out here to the very end, to this little tiny tail at the very end. Let's go all the way out. So I was at the other end of the museum when we started following this guy, and here we are at his tail, and of course my camera won't focus, but look at this immense dinosaur. Oh, there's his tail. Okay, look at that. Wow. That's a big dinosaur. Can you even imagine? No, me neither. And here, this looks like an Allosaurus. Now this guy was a cool predator. There's his tail, and he's going down here. This was a theropod, of course, a meat-eating dinosaur. And there is his formidable claws, formidable foot claws, and here's his hand claws. But look at this jaw full of steak knives. Now this guy was lighter and faster probably than Tyrannosaurus rex. They lived before T-Rex, but there's a site up the hill from here where Allosaurus fed on Camarasaurus. And it is replicated here. There's a sauropod track, sauropod bone, and this guy fed on him. What a neat thing. Let's just keep going around, Cree. Oh, here's what I was telling you about. Look at this Camarasaurus. Camarasaurus is one of my favorite. There's his tail. Look at that tail. Now we follow him up his vertebral column all the way up to the hips. There's his feet. This was a giant sauropod. And look at that head clear up there. They kind of have this thing poorly mounted. But there's the head way up there. Wow-wee. What a monster he was. Now these things were more blocky than the Apatosaurus or Brontosaurus. They were very, very robust, and the head was broader and thicker, but a formidable sauropod. Here's, of course, our old pal, Mimurapelta mesai, one of the ankylosaurids. What a cool dinosaur this is. Look at those backplates. Now, one interesting dino fact is that there are no existent fossils of an ankylosaurus that bear tooth marks from Tyrannosaurus rex. So those plates were a very effective defense against T-Rex. And it kind of makes sense when you look at it. Here's Nanosaurus agilis. Looks like these two are scrapping about something. I don't know what. Fighting over a mate? Fighting over food? Who knows? And here's Stegosaurus. He's an old dinosaur. Predated T-Rex by a long ways. And look at those giant plates. Now, there's a lot of controversy as to what those plates were for. Some say they were thermoregulation devices. Others say they were for mating display. Others say they were defense. Evolution being what it is, I think they probably served multiple purposes. That's just the way life is. But we come all the way to the end of this steg, and we see my favorite part, the Thagomizer, named from a Gary Larson cartoon. I remember when it came out. He joked that they named it the Thagomizer because this stegosaur killed poor Thag with his tail. And the paleontologists thought that was so funny that they named this part of the Stegosaurus the Thagomizer, which goes to show you scientists have a sense of humor too. Here we have Allosaurus fragilis. What a skull that is. Woo-wee. You wouldn't want him on your tail. Now here's a real articulated leg bone of a giant sauropod. Now that is, up there is over 10 feet high. And look at these femurs. Very cool. All right, let's move on around, guys. Nothronicus. This is one of my favorites, the Therizinosaurus. Look at little Nothronicus with that sclera, that bony circle around his eye, and those long claws. Those claws got up to 18 inches. Now what you're seeing is just the bony inner core. That was surrounded by a keratinus or keratin, the same stuff that our fingernails are made out of. That was surrounded by a keratin sheath that would have made those about 18 inches long. So they were big. Cool. Here's a Falcarius, a little theropod from the early Cretaceous. Falcarius is considered key transitional species. Conchoraptor. Neat little guy. Look at that foot. That can only belong to one guy. Our old pal. Oh, this one fell over. Look, honey, he fell over. Velociraptor fell over. Now see, in the Jurassic Park movies, they portrayed these guys as these giant 5 feet tall. This is a real Velociraptor skeleton, about the size of a dog or maybe a really large turkey. But you wouldn't want about 10 of those biting on you. You know what I'm saying? They could take you down. Bambiraptor. Remember where we saw Bambiraptor? In the San Juan College Museum of Geology or geology building? Some clever paleontologist said, I'm going to name this dinosaur Bambi. He thought he was being so cute. Suscatyrannus. Wow. And this is Allosaurus. Woo-wee. Look at that Allosaurus. Definitely a meat eater there. Look at those mouthful of daggers. Wouldn't want to be on the business end of that bad boy. And how about this, huh? This is what they look like. If you get lucky and find a skull fossil, this is what it looks like in situ. This is a real fossil. That is just really a thing of beauty, isn't it? And this is our old pal, our hero, Tyrannosaurus Rex, the thunder lizard himself. They had a bite force of about 2,000 pounds per square inch, a ton per square inch. And they lived to about 35, 40, 50 years old maybe. There have been recent specimens found that indicate that this T-Rex may exceed 50 feet in length. So that is one heck of a meat-eating dinosaur. And I'm glad that they aren't still around while I'm exploring the woods. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at his mouth. 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 Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Tyrannosaurus Rex. There he had stereoscopic vision, so he could look you in the eye, hunt you down, and kill you. That part in Jurassic Park where they said that they couldn't see you unless you moved is not true. They had good vision. They could see you standing still. So, sorry, sitting still won't help you. Well, there's a lot more to see in here. But I think, oh, wait, I got to show them Archelon, honey. Check this out. This is one of my favorite fossils of all time. This is Archelon, a giant sea turtle. Now, from the tip of that flipper to the tip of that flipper looks to be 13, 14, maybe 15 feet. That head is 3 feet long, 2 feet high. The body is probably 14, 15 feet. Now look at that plastron. The plastron are the bones on the underside. Look at the defensive spikes on there. Gosh, I don't know why my camera goes out of focus when I zoom in, but it does. So we'll back out. Really something. Here's, of course, a fossil turtle. Here's a palm frond. This is from the Green River Formation in Camarasaurus, where we're going tomorrow. And this is a real fossil garfish. That's about 6 feet long. What a cool thing. And here is what I want to be doing. Caudal vertebra of a sauropod, radius of a sauropod, probably. And here are some fossil techs working on real fossils. Would you enjoy doing that? Yeah, me too. That's your kind of thing, where you're kind of picking away at rocks and bones. Yeah. Oh, he's stabilizing a rib bone there. Very cool. What animal is that rib from? What animal? What animal? What dinosaur is that from? Look at this leg. Yikes. 10 feet tall. Dino Doug looks like a midget next to this leg. Of course, Dino Doug looks like a midget next to anything. All right, guys, we'll cruise around, film some more stuff. Say bye-bye to everybody, Cree.
Bye-bye.